Today's news highlights. Date June 23, 2025. News highlights: Lin Fangyu, the dean of the front desk, was shocked to be suffering from dementia, which caused concern. Experts point out that lack of sleep, sedentary, stressful and lack of social interaction are the 4 common brain-damaging vices of modern people, which will accelerate brain atrophy and cognitive deterioration. Studies have shown that these habits are associated with memory loss, gray matter loss, and even increased risk of dementia. Doctors recommend maintaining a regular work and rest, avoiding staying up late, moderate activity and stress relief, and paying attention to diet and social interaction to help delay brain degeneration and protect brain health. News highlights: hair health is closely related to nutrition, and studies have shown that about 85% of hair loss is related to nutritional imbalance. Dietitians recommend supplementing with 6 key nutrients, including protein, iron, vitamin C, B vitamins, essential fatty acids and zinc, to help strengthen hair follicles, promote growth, and prevent hair loss. In addition, lack of sleep, excessive dieting, frequent consumption of raw eggs, frequent dyeing and perming and long-term stress are also the culprits of hair loss. Improving your diet and lifestyle habits will hopefully restore a healthy shine to your hair. News highlights: U.S. President Trump announced on the 21st that the U.S. military dispatched B-2 bombers and submarines for the first time to launch large-scale precision strikes on Iran's 3 major nuclear facilities, including Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, claiming that it had completely destroyed Iran's key nuclear enrichment capabilities. Trump stressed that the United States has no intention of overthrowing the Iranian regime, but if it does not seek peace, it will face a more severe blow in the future. The operation was seen as an important turning point in cooperation with Israel to combat Iran's nuclear threat, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said it would change history. News highlights: China reduced its holdings of U.S. bonds by another $8.2 billion in April, falling to a 16-year low, indicating the restructuring of its foreign exchange reserves. Although there is an intention to reduce dependence on the US dollar and promote the internationalization of the RMB, experts believe that the US dollar is still the core of global finance, and the RMB is difficult to replace due to its lack of convertibility and transparency. The reduction was also affected by the decline in exports and fiscal pressure, which was a technical exercise. The US responded calmly, believing that China's influence is no longer the key, and US dollar assets are still the first choice for international investment. News highlights: if you have darkness in front of your eyes, choking on food, or slurred speech, you may have a precursor to temporary cerebral ischemia and should seek medical attention immediately. Traditional Chinese medicine divides high-risk patients into 3 types: qi deficiency and phlegm turbidity, hyperactivity of liver yang, and qi stagnation and blood stasis. In life, you should control the 3 highs: quit smoking, drink tea in moderation, and drink less coffee. If stroke is suspected, you should seek medical attention within 3 hours and get rehabilitation as soon as possible to improve the recovery effect. News highlights: on June 21, Eastern Time, U.S. President Trump announced that the U.S. military launched precision strikes on Iran's 3 nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, saying that it had completely destroyed its uranium enrichment capabilities, and warned that Iran would be attacked more violently if it did not seek peace. This is the first time that the United States has been directly involved in the destruction of Iran's nuclear program, which has a deterrent effect on the situation between the Chinese Communist Party, Russia, and the Middle East, and is also regarded as an important turning point in ending the U.S. policy of appeasement towards the dictatorship. News highlights: Mr. Chen, 70, suffered from itching all over his body for 3 months, which worsened at night, and was finally diagnosed with highly contagious crusted scabies. Scabies is caused by scabies infection, spreads through close contact, and often gathers in homes or institutions. Typical scabies has just over 10 worms per person, and can reach thousands of scabs, causing intense itching. Treatment should be with topical or oral anti-scabies, and the whole family should be treated at the same time to prevent spread, and isolation and hygiene measures should be strengthened. News highlights: recently, the hotly debated issue of inheritance without children mainly focuses on whether the spouse can directly withdraw the deceased husband's bank savings and how the estate will be distributed. According to Taiwan's civil law, the spouse is the natural heir, but if there are no children, he or she must inherit jointly with the deceased's parents or siblings, and the proportion is determined by the order of succession. The wife is unable to withdraw the deposit directly, and must go through the inheritance procedures and obtain the consent of the other heirs. To avoid dividing the estate to siblings, it is advisable to plan through a will, living gift, trust, or insurance, etc., and pay attention to the statutory restrictions on inheritance and special retention. Experts remind that legal advice should be provided in advance to ensure rights and compliance. News highlights: the U.S. military launched an unannounced airstrike on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities on the 21st, and President Trump called the attack a beautiful military success and warned Iran to sue for peace, otherwise it will face a stronger attack. Iran condemned the U.S. action as a brutal attack and responded with missiles to Israel. The foreign minister warned the U.S. of long-term consequences, and Congress even considered closing the strategic Hormuz Strait. The conflict has triggered shocks in global financial markets, with cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ether plummeting, and oil prices surging in the short term, with Asian stock markets being particularly vulnerable. The analysis pointed out that if the conflict escalates, the financial market may continue to fluctuate, and the focus of observation is on Iran's subsequent reaction and whether to attack the U.S. military and shipping lines in the Middle East. News highlights: Apple has announced that it may launch a 20th anniversary machine in 2027, with an all-glass body design for the first time, which has aroused the expectations of fruit fans. Industry sources pointed out that the Corning team, the largest glass supplier of iPhone, recently came to Taiwan to negotiate with Genda, a glass factory owned by Hon Hai, and Genda is expected to return to Apple's supply chain. Apple introduced the glass back design back to the iPhone 4, but later switched to metal to reduce weight and improve durability. Now that glass design is revival, Genda will expand the business opportunities for iPhone suppliers. News highlights: the U.S. bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities has triggered tensions in the Middle East, and Taiwan stocks have come under pressure at the same time. The legal person pointed out that with the short-term rebound of the weighted index coming to an end, the situation in the Middle East heating up and the sharp rise of the new Taiwan dollar affecting corporate profits, the annual line of 22,279 points has become a major pressure, and the risk of pulling back from the lower gear is high. Taiwan stocks faced a number of negative effects in the third quarter, including ex-dividend pressure and uncertain tariff policies, and the economic growth rate is expected to be revised down to about 1% from 3 to 4% in the first half of the year. From a technical point of view, the short term will continue to be sorted out, the market is conservative and wait and see, and it is still difficult to challenge last year's highs before the end of the year. News highlights: Jumping K, LV Yuquan, started from boutique purchasing, stepped into a diversified side business, and recently spent 140 million yuan to open his first physical boutique flagship store in Dawan, setting a single-day performance of up to 5 million yuan. He also spent 8 million yuan to join the sauerkraut fish shop, with a turnover of more than 200,000 yuan per day, and rewarded talent retention with high salaries. The iconic 22 tails of gold chains are temporarily stored in the safe due to health concerns. He claimed to be in control of the family's economy, gave his wife a deposit of 200,000 yuan a month, emphasized that he would not leave his wealth to his son, and hoped that he would be self-reliant and socially responsible. News highlights: the U.S. military's raid on Iran's 3 major nuclear facilities has triggered rising tensions in the Middle East, and the market risk aversion has pushed the dollar stronger, and the new Taiwan dollar may be back-tested by 29.5 to 30 yuan in the short term. If Iran retaliates, oil prices and the US dollar will rise further, and non-US currencies will come under pressure. Many central banks in Asia have scaled back their intervention in the foreign exchange market, and the South Korean won, the Malaysian won and the Taiwan dollar are expected to appreciate. The market is concerned about the expiration of the US tariff moratorium on China and other countries on July 8 and the review of the Big and American Act on July 4. News highlights: New Taipei Yang and an employee of a real estate agent surnamed Su made inappropriate remarks about a woman wearing a high school uniform at a breakfast restaurant, causing controversy. The person publicly accused him of his actions on Threads and has reported it to the police. The real estate agent shop issued a statement yesterday, 22, expressing deep regret and has dismissed Su Yuan, emphasizing that it will strengthen internal management to avoid the recurrence of similar incidents, and calls on the outside world to look at it rationally and not spread false remarks. News highlights: US President Trump launched Operation Midnight Hammer on the 22nd, dispatching 630,000 pound GBU-57 burrowing bombs to accurately bomb 3 nuclear facilities in Iran's Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. While Iran claims limited damage, satellite imagery shows severe damage to the base and the US claims a landslide victory. US Secretary of Defense Hughes emphasized that the operation is aimed at eliminating the Iranian nuclear threat and ensuring the security of the United States and Israel. News highlights: YouTuber couple Andy entered the legal process after falling out with Jianing, and appeared in court again at the same time on the 18th, but the two had zero interaction and the picture was embarrassing. Andy posted on his birthday yesterday, 22, to confide in his heart, admitting that he was under great pressure in the past and wanted to give up at one point, but thanks to the support of fans, friends, and family, he regained hope. He said that growing up is learning to stop being afraid, and although the future is still full of challenges, he will still persevere, and wished himself and the fans who have supported him all the way a happy birthday. News highlights: Democratic Progressive Party legislator Guo Yuking took a photo and uploaded it for questioning the man's live broadcast behavior sneaky, reminding the public to pay attention to children's privacy, and was criticized for public trial and witch hunting, and deleted the article yesterday, 22nd, and publicly apologized. She said that out of the mother's instinct to protect the child, she felt sorry for the person concerned and promised to reflect. Musician Su Chang criticized his apology for 3 mistakes, deleting the text to cover up the original text, reflecting on self-awarding, and leaving a message restriction to show insincerity, thinking that the overall apology lacked sincerity and was full of words, which aroused heated discussions among netizens. News highlights: Xiao SS 17-year-old second daughter, Lily, Su Sheon, is about to hold her first solo exhibition, showing her passion for art and self-exploration. She shared the trailer on Instagram, mentioning that painting is a space that allows me to calm down and build myself, and described each painting as a landscape in her heart. The exhibition will be on view at the Tart Gallery on Nanjing East Road in Taipei from June 30 to July 5, and the opening event is scheduled for June 29. News highlights. Numerology expert Eiffel warned that the second half of 2025 will be a period of great calamity, especially reminding that the Gemini, Virgin, Sagittarius, and Pisces zodiac signs will feel obvious fortune fluctuations. He pointed out that military facilities on the U.S. mainland and overseas may face a major terrorist attack similar to the Pearl Harbor incident, stressing that this year may face an unprecedented threat. In addition, Eiffel also reminded Gemini's former President Donald Trump to take care of his health, especially in the second half of the year until Christmas. News highlights. The Japanese shareholders of Shinkong Mitsukoshi and Taipei 101, the two major department stores, have recently released their shareholdings one after another, which has attracted market attention. Mitsukoshi Isetan and Itochu have successively reduced their sizes, although the reasons are different on the surface, but they are seen as signs of weakening confidence in the Taiwan market. According to experts' analysis, the withdrawal of Japanese capital is related to factors such as Japan's weak economy, the incentive of foreign exchange returns, the weakening of Taiwan's consumption momentum, and the unstable cross-strait situation. However, some accountants pointed out that it should not be generalized, and some Japanese investors such as Mitsui Fudosan are still actively increasing their investment in Taiwan, and the follow-up trends are still worth observing. News highlights. Plastic surgeon Lin Jingyun has published a new book, Thank You for Staying With Me, which profoundly chronicles the 5-year journey of caring for her husband Lin Fangyu with dementia. Her most memorable time was when she personally debrided her husband's bedsores, tears dripping down the wounds, and her heart broke and cried out, "Is he really going to leave me?" With the help of his daughter, he gradually recovered, and his cognition quietly improved. Lin Jingyun chose to disclose her illness in the hope of arousing the community's attention to dementia and encouraging caregivers to know how to seek help and walk the long road of care together. News highlights. U.S. President Donald Trump recently ordered raids on Iran's 3 major nuclear facilities, including Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, and dispatched B-2 bombers and submarine cruise missiles in an attempt to severely damage Iran's nuclear program. Satellite imagery shows 6 craters in Fordo, with significant damage to Natanz and Isfahan. Despite Iran's downplaying of its influence to the outside world, experts believe that the attack was of unprecedented precision and depth, and could have a substantial impact on Iran's nuclear development. The U.S. side emphasized that this move is to weaken the nuclear threat and continue to monitor future developments. News highlights. Many people worry about the health risks of sugar, but ignore the deadlier invisible killer refined vegetable oils. Physician Li Sixian pointed out that the omega-6 fatty acids in refined oil can cause chronic inflammation, which is related to obesity, diabetes, and dementia. These oils are commonly used in eating and snacking and produce large amounts of harmful free radicals due to high-temperature chemical processes. Modern people's daily intake is much exceeded, which is closely related to the surge in chronic diseases. Emphasizing that the key is to reduce the intake of industrial process oils, rather than blindly rejecting carbs, and recommends replacing steamed, low-oil dishes with real improvements in metabolic health. News highlights. EVA Air Flight BR198 was on the way to Tokyo on May 30. A passenger suddenly suffered cardiopulmonary arrest, and the captain decisively transferred to Osaka to save people according to the advice of medical care and medical advice, causing netizens to worry about whether they would be punished. EVA Air responded on the 22nd, "Life is priceless, respects the captain's professional judgment, and has never punished anyone in similar situations for 36 years, and expressed high affirmation to the crew and medical staff, emphasizing that passenger safety is always the top priority." News highlights. 63-year-old actor Ma Jingtao suddenly fainted during the live broadcast on the 21st and hit the ground with the back of his head, frightening the on-site personnel and the audience. When he was wearing an ancient costume and enthusiastically performing a fragment of Heaven and Dragon Slayer, he suddenly rolled his eyes and fell to the ground. Fortunately, it was later confirmed that it was caused by low blood sugar and high temperature, and his body was fine. Ma Jingtao personally filmed a film on the evening of the 22nd to report his safety, emphasizing that he had recovered his health and reminded fans to pay attention to heat stroke prevention. News highlights. If you want to eat healthy and lean breakfast, the key is to avoid oily and delicate starches such as sandwiches and donuts. According to the report, a 70-year-old woman who had fatty liver and weight gain due to eating sandwiches for breakfast successfully reversed her fatty liver and lost 7 kilograms in half a year after switching to a salty porridge version of oats. Healthy breakfast suggestions include boiled oats with eggs and vegetables, supermarket boiled eggs and chicken breast and sweet potato, or avocado and nuts and sugar-free soy milk, etc., emphasizing high fiber, low sugar, and high-quality fat, which is the key to long-term weight loss. News highlights. When Jackie Chung started singing in Macau on June 21, he introduced the group in Cantonese, and was shouted "Speak Mandarin" by the audience, and he responded with a high EQ "I'm sorry, I can't speak Mandarin, and suggested that the other party learn Cantonese to cleverly resolve the embarrassment. In the face of similar situations, he has always insisted on serving the local audience in Cantonese. Eason Chan once encountered the same request for a performance in Macau, refusing on the spot, emphasizing the freedom of choice of language, and publicly apologized afterwards. The two singers presented different styles that reflected the sensitive issues of language and culture in the concert. News highlights: after being silent for a month and a half, Xiao S. Su Zidi rarely updated the limited time news on the evening of June 22, forwarding the promotional video of the second daughter Su Shaon, Lily's art exhibition, and supporting it in a low-key manner. 17-year-old Lily will have her first solo exhibition, Prey of Prey, from June 29 to July 5, exploring themes of the power of sight and sweet illusions. She once revealed that DS gave her the greatest understanding and encouragement when she was alive, allowing her to be brave enough to be herself, and the exhibition also contained deep thoughts and tributes to her aunt. News highlights: after the divorce in March 2023, the 40-year-old actress Xiao Tiantian, Zhang Qun, has faded out of the entertainment industry for nearly 2 years and moved to the mainland to develop live broadcast sales. Recently, she posted her latest selfie on Facebook, with a good complexion, and netizens exclaimed that she was a sister who hid her face and praised her appearance. Britney shared positive energy quotes, emphasizing that being yourself is an honor and encouraging everyone to love themselves and not compare themselves with others. In May this year, it was rumored that she would make a comeback, and even wanted to get back together with her ex-husband, but she clarified that she had drawn a small end to her acting career and had no plans to make a comeback for the time being. News highlights: actor Chow Yun-fat and Yu Anan were briefly married, and then registered their marriage with his current wife Chen Huilian in 1986, and the marriage lasted for nearly 40 years, and the relationship was stable and childless. Chen Huilian was recently photographed with a thin body. Although her appearance is simple but her background is prominent. She is the daughter of a wealthy businessman in Singapore, graduated from a British business school, and served as Chow Yun-fat's agent after marriage to help her focus on her acting career. The two experienced the grief of losing their fetus in 1991, and Chen Huilian had been unable to get out of the pain for a long time, while Chow Yun-fat accompanied her to tide over the difficulties together. News highlights: in March this year, Yaya, Xiaoyi and other Taiwanese land-based companies were expelled by China's Immigration Bureau for advocating military reunification on Douyin. Xiao Wei, who has been away from Taiwan for 2.5 months, recently choked up in the film and said that he was forced to separate from his children, feeling down, saying that he was an upright Chinese and insisted on his position. Internet celebrity Bajian refuted Xiaoyi's claim that the separation of flesh and blood was caused by the split of the CCP on YouTube, criticized his remarks as CCP propaganda, and questioned Xiaoyi's difficult life and did not pick up his children back to Guizhou. In the film, Xiaoyi lives a simple life, rolls cakes with wine bottles, and asks elderly relatives to collect firewood, showing that the living environment is not good. News highlights: Cao Yan's father, the Queen of Golden Songs, passed away due to illness, and a farewell ceremony was held today. Cao Yan thanked her relatives and friends for saying goodbye on IG, and begged her father to forgive her decision to sign the first aid consent form. She recalled that her father was unable to speak after the operation, but he still encouraged herself with "as long as you live, you will win." When her father became critically ill in April, she made an urgent decision to give up first aid, and his father eventually recovered and attended the concert, being her staunchest supporter. Cao Yan promised to take care of her mother, and hoped that her father would continue to proudly introduce her in the other world. News highlights: on the 21st, the U.S. military launched Operation Midnight Hammer, sending B-2 bombers to attack 3 nuclear facilities in Iran's Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, dropping 12 GBU-57 giant ground-penetrating bombs on Fordo, Natanz 2, and Isfahan launched multiple Tomahawk cruise missiles from submarines to attack. Satellite imagery shows at least 6 large potholes in Fordo and severe damage to underground facilities. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has stated that Fordo suffered a direct kinetic impact and whether there was internal damage is yet to be assessed. Experts believe that the precise delivery of multiple penetrating bombs is the key to attacking underground nuclear facilities. Natanz and Isfahan were also severely damaged, and several buildings were destroyed. News highlights: Wang Tong and Gong Milei recently participated in Ment's Entertainment Super SKR, and admitted that they were unfamiliar at first because of the age gap, but after filming, they became confidants who talked about everything. Wang Tong calls himself forgetful and often makes jokes, while Gong Milei is steady and introverted, and the two complement each other's personalities, as close as old husband and wife. In the program, the good food and fulfillment and interesting life stories of Ximending restaurant were shared, showing sincere friendship and warm interaction, making the atmosphere warm and joyful. News highlights: after the U.S. military sent a number of B-2 bombers to attack Iran's 3 nuclear facilities on the 21st, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei spoke out for the first time on social media X on the 22nd, condemning Israel for making a big mistake and emphasizing that the punishment is still continuing. Khamenei's post included a huge skull with the Star of David engraved on his forehead, symbolizing a strong warning. Shakhtani, Iran's advisor and negotiator to the United States, said that even if the nuclear facilities are destroyed, the war situation is still undecided, and as long as the enrichment materials and domestic technology and political will exist, Iran will still bring surprises. News highlights artist Huang Zijiao was sentenced to August in prison and fined 100,000 yuan in the first instance for paying to download a large number of underage girl sexual images since 2014, and the case is now being heard by the High Court. The original prosecution of 47 victims, the first instance found that 35 victims were involved in a total of 2,259 images, and the other 12 victims were returned to the prosecution for investigation due to unknown identities. Recently, the Beijing Procuratorate brought the 12 victims together to the High Court for trial. Another victim filed a complaint afterwards and the case was also joined. The High Court is currently conducting second instance mediation, and 21 people have reached a settlement with Huang Zijiao. News highlights the jackpot prize of the 33rd phase of the Turtle and Turtle of the Power Color Lottery rushed to 1.55 billion yuan this evening, 23rd, attracting a large number of people to grab the bet. Numerologist Yang Dengsheng named the 4 major zodiac signs of tiger, rabbit, sheep, and pig to be prosperous, and it is recommended to wear white, gold, silver, and other gold and watercolor clothing to increase the chance of winning. The most prosperous places are due south and southeast, and it is recommended to buy lottery tickets in this direction centered on your place of residence. In addition, he suggested moving your nose and ears regularly to help accumulate wealth and good fortune and increase good luck. News highlights Israel launched Operation Lion Rise on June 13, targeting Iranian military and nuclear facilities, and on June 16 claimed full control of Tehran's airspace. Despite Iran's extensive development of drones to enhance asymmetric warfare, its military strength is still no match for Israel's advanced air defense systems. Most of Iran's drones are reverse-engineered U.S. military models, such as the Witness series, which have been used to attack Saudi oil facilities and the battlefield in Ukraine, but Israel's Iron Dome, David Sling and Arrow systems have successfully intercepted more than 90% of the attacks. Israel continues to carry out multiple waves of counterattacks against Iranian missiles and drones, and calls on the population to remain vigilant. News highlights Shohei Ohtani showed the power of two-knife stream today, and the throwing is wonderful. He started the first inning, made 2 strikeouts with 18 balls and didn't concede points, with a fastest ball speed of 98.8 miles and a defense rate of 4.50. In terms of batting, he hit a 2-point home run of the 26th of the season, and contributed 5 RBIs in a single game, as well as a 3-base hit to help the Dodgers beat the Nationals 13-7 at home. Ohtani played 4 games and 2 hits, ran back 3 points, and selected 1 guarantee, showing strong offensive and defensive strength, and continued to lead the team to the ranks of the league's strongest teams. News highlights South Korean singer Yoon Ji dined at a well-known seafood restaurant in Penghu, but was treated by the owner of the restaurant with a bad attitude and frivolous words, and even got angry about ordering half of the oysters, which made her call it the most unpleasant experience in Taiwan for many years. After the video was exposed, it aroused heated discussions among netizens, and they all swiped 1-star negative reviews on the store's Google reviews, criticizing the store's poor attitude and affecting Taiwan's image. Yoon Ji also lamented that it may be a cultural difference, but it is still difficult to understand the boss's words and deeds. This reminds the operator to respect customers and maintain a good tourism environment. News highlights CNN reported that Trump had already made a decision before ordering an airstrike on Iran, and used the phrase decided within 2 weeks to confuse the outside world and cover up the military deployment. According to sources, Trump was having lunch with Bannon, who questioned U.S. involvement, and took the opportunity to arrange for his aides to release information that the case had not yet been finalized. In fact, Trump had already held intensive meetings with senior national security officials to review the attack plan, and by the time the airstrike order was given, the bombers had already taken off, and the so-called undecided decision was nothing more than a smoke bomb. News highlights President Lai Ching-te yesterday delivered the first lecture of the 10 lectures on uniting the country, focusing on Taiwan's subjectivity and history, emphasizing that the People's Republic of China has never ruled Taiwan. Taichung Mayor Liu Zhihuan criticized today that the current global focus on the Israeli-Iraq war and its impact on the economy and people's livelihood, the president should respond to such major issues, rather than just talking about personal historical views, and the content of the question is not in line with the people's expectations, and called on the president to update the direction of the topic to respond to the current international situation. News highlights Wu Derong of Central University pointed out that King Tai Shenpa has formed in the northern sea of Guam, and will move north towards Japan and then turn northeast away from Taiwan. In the next 10 days, there will be a tropical disturbance near Guam, which may approach Taiwan after July 2, so it needs to be closely observed. The development probability of light Taiwan in the South China Sea is low, and there is no risk of invasion of Taiwan. Recently, the weather in Taiwan has been hot, and it will be cloudy in the afternoon from today to Wednesday, and thunder showers are prone to in the afternoon in mountainous areas. From Thursday, the water vapor will increase, the convection will strengthen slightly in the afternoon, and the local rain will expand, so you should pay attention to the meteorological information. News highlights: senior media person Liu Wenwan recently shared the secrets of the video, recalling that when she visited Gongshuihua, she was angrily scolded by the other party for asking about the topic of labor reform and no knowledge, which made her so angry that she stopped the recording and pulled out the microphone and left, which was the first time she had boycotted the recording since she started her career. Although the production unit said in advance that they were free to ask questions, Gongshuihua was still angry. Afterwards, under the appeasement of the host De Ying and the producer, the two sides reconciled, and Gongshuihua also explained that the words were misunderstood. Liu Wenwan said frankly that the incident is still unforgettable, and also reminds us that we must still be cautious in dealing with different guests. News highlights: Wang Liu, the king of Taiwanese songs, appeared on Characters of the Times, emotionally looking back on the low-ebb life of losing the singing competition in his early years, returning to his hometown to sell insurance in hairy crabs after being discharged from the army, and regaining his singing dream with the support of fans and the company of friends. He thanked his grandparents for their support and dedication, especially mentioned Agong's heroic deeds of saving people in the '87 flood, and sang Agong's tea to pay tribute to family affection. Now that he has a successful career, he responds to waiting for good news in a low-key way to his love life, and the story is inspirational and moving. News highlights: the main ingredients are wheat gluten and soybean salad oil, the protein comes from gluten, and the calories are more than 500 kilocalories per 100 grams. Because of its meat-like taste, it is regarded as all-purpose meat by the vegetarian community, and is commonly used in dishes such as lo mein, stir-frying, and hot pot. In some areas, it is called noodle wheel or noodle wheel, and there are also a variety of delicious practices among the people, such as marinating, stir-frying, and sucking soup, etc., but people who are exercising and losing weight should consume it in moderation. News highlights: if it is used for too long, it may become a breeding ground for bacteria and mold, which is harmful to health. Japanese experts suggest that the sponge-type vegetable melon cloth should be replaced every 3 weeks to 1 month, and should be eliminated immediately if it is worn, odorous, and difficult to wring out. It is recommended to soak in an antibacterial detergent and dry well after use to avoid bacteria growth in a humid environment. Old vegetable melon cloth can be used to clean sinks, glass, etc., and play a surplus value. The doctor reminds that the use of unclean vegetable melon cloth may cause gastrointestinal discomfort and even serious illness, and regular replacement is the basic step to protect health. News highlights: after 7 fierce battles, the Thunder won and lost today, 6/23, and the 7th game of life and death was repelled by the landlord Thunder 103:91 and won back the 2024-25 NBA Championship 4:3. News highlights: the Central Election Committee announced that the recall of 24 regional legislators will be voted on July 26, and Kuomintang Chairman Zhu Liluang questioned the DPP's Legislative Yuan Caucus, calling KG Unming to know the voting day in advance, criticizing him as the chairman of the Central Election Committee. KG Unming responded that the Blue Camp knew the polling day early, and the recall test existed at any time, and the Kuomintang held an anti-recall campaign every other day, accusing the Kuomintang of not knowing it and should reflect on it. In response to the Blue Camp's promotion of the Universal Cash Bill, K called this illegal and unconstitutional, criticized the blue and white joint sale of Taiwan and licked the Communist Party, and stressed that Taiwan is facing life and death, and the Kuomintang should be clear about the current situation, and it cannot save the predicament by attacking the DPP alone. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump recently ordered the dispatch of 7 B-2 bombers and more than 125 military aircraft to carry out Operation Midnight Hammer on Iran's 3 nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, dropping 14 giant ground-penetrating bombs, and the raid caught Iran by surprise. This move symbolizes the formal involvement of the U.S. military in the war between Israel and Iran, and it is highly concerned by the world. Trump said last year that if China invaded Taiwan, it would bomb Beijing, which sparked heated discussions. The Chinese Foreign Ministry strongly condemned the U.S. attack and called on all parties to cease fire and resume peace talks to avoid further deterioration of the situation. News highlights: recently, there was a dispute between station attendants and passengers at Taipei Station of the Taiwan Railway, which aroused concern. On the afternoon of the 21st, a pair of overseas Chinese passengers who were not familiar with the ticket swiping process were emotionally treated by the station attendant when they left the station, and the other party not only spoke sarcastically, but even blurted out, "Are you blind? Can't the station staff be fierce?" and other inappropriate words, attracting dissuasion from on-site travelers. News highlights: President Lai Ching-te launched the first session of the 10 lectures on uniting Taiwan at the Rotary Club of Xinzhuang, emphasizing Taiwan's sovereignty with the theme of the country. He refuted China's claim to possess Taiwan under UN Resolution 2758, pointing out that the resolution only deals with China's representation, that Taiwan has the 4 elements of a complete state, and that the CCP has never ruled Taiwan. Lai Ching-te also cited historical and legal theories to prove that Taiwan is not part of the mainland, and used Taiwanese proverbs to satirize the internal political plight of the island, calling for Taiwan's unity and independence, emphasizing that Republic of China and Taiwan are both national names and represent the status of independent countries. News highlights Chinese dubbing internet celebrity Xiao Yi has been out of Taiwan for 2.5 months because he posted remarks on the community that contained military reunification and the elimination of Taiwan's sovereignty. Influencer Bajian shared his recent situation on YouTube, and the video choked up about her inability to visit her seriously ill relatives, and showed clips of life in a dilapidated environment in Guizhou, China. Bajian responded that the separation between the two sides of the strait is caused by the CCP's policy, criticized Xiao Yi's so-called patriotism as CCP propaganda, questioned its interference with other people's freedom of identity, and ridiculed Taiwan's better life, and called on her to consider taking her family back to Guizhou if she misses her relatives. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump ordered the U.S. military to launch Operation Midnight Hammer, using 7 B-2 bombers and more than 125 military aircraft to strike 3 nuclear facilities in Iran's Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, dropping a number of giant ground-penetrating bombs. But experts have questioned whether Iran's nuclear capabilities will be completely destroyed, as Iran has withdrawn core materials from its nuclear facilities before the attack, and there may be other undisclosed facilities, and the effect of the attack could delay Iran's nuclear program for only a few years, raising international concern. News highlights in recent years, the awareness of disaster prevention has risen, and the Hualien County government has distributed 130,000 sets of disaster prevention kits free of charge since June 20, and the propaganda article emphasizes that 1,380 yuan will be exempted, which has been questioned for political work. After receiving the package, the public found that the outer packaging and instructions were in simplified Chinese, which caused dissatisfaction and criticized the use of tax money to buy Chinese goods. DPP legislator Shen Boyang criticized the move not only for its poor quality, but also for its safety concerns, fearing that if China becomes an enemy, the supply of disaster prevention materials will be affected, and calling for attention to domestic quality and disaster prevention safety. News highlights Chongjiang Yuhua, a former Taiwanese administrative agency, estimated that the DPP would have a strong mobilization force for the recall, and the KMT might be removed from 10 seats. The DPP's Legislative Yuan Caucus summoned KG Unming to retort, not only, right? Everyone wait and see, and even predicted that the KMT might be completely recalled, and criticized the blue camp for deceiving itself and facing the danger of collapse. K also questioned whether the people dared to vote for the KMT, alluding to the fact that it would bring communism, stressing that the DPP was confident of winning the recall campaign. In the face of the media's concern about his physical condition, he humorously responded that if the Kuomintang falls, my feet will be fine, showing a pessimistic view of the future of the Kuomintang. News highlights citizens groups launched a recall campaign by the Blue Committee, with 31 cases in the second phase, and the first wave of 24 cases was approved by the Central Election Committee on June 20, and voting will be held on July 26. The Democratic Progressive Party warned on the 23rd that if the recall is unsuccessful, a number of pro-China bills in the Legislative Yuan will be forced, including the revision of the Satellite Radio and Television Law to restore red media, and the amendment of the regulations on cross-strait people's relations to open up Chinese immigrants, which may become a breach of national security. The Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, stressed its rejection of pro-communist forces and Fusui organizations, and called on the whole people to stand up and defend the country. News highlights U.S. President Trump confirmed on the 22nd that he sent B-2 bombers to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, officially intervening in the war between Iran and Israel, which has attracted global attention. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini issued a letter through X on the 23rd, accusing Zionism of committing major crimes and being punished, but did not directly mention U.S. involvement. The post was accompanied by a picture of a skull that had been hit by a missile, and the skull was printed with the Jewish Star of David, which was strongly intimidating. News highlights a woman in a high school uniform accused a real estate agent man of verbal sexual harassment, and after feeling uncomfortable, she stepped forward to theorize, but the man denied naming him, causing netizens to lash down and search for the man, causing the evaluation of the real estate agent branch to plummet. Surveillance footage shows that the incident occurred on the morning of June 21. The woman was dressed normally, and the man later clarified the misunderstanding online, and had left his job and was willing to apologize. The real estate agency emphasized that it was a personal act, apologized to the parties, and will strengthen the management of employee behavior in the future. The lawyer said that if the appeal is successful, the sexual harassment can be fined between 10,000 and 100,000 yuan. News highlights an 82-year-old man surnamed Guo was trapped for nearly an hour, with a room temperature of more than 30 degrees and a distress button out of order. After receiving the report, the police arrived at the scene to confirm that the old man was conscious, and notified the elevator company to break the door and wait for 50 minutes before being rescued. The old man thanked the rescue, but questioned the elevator safety management. JAJA will strengthen maintenance and improve the emergency notification process to avoid the recurrence of similar incidents. News highlights: the jackpot of Taiwan Lottery Power Lottery has not been drawn for 33 consecutive periods, with a cumulative prize of about 1.55 billion yuan, attracting buying and heeding. Yang Dengcheng, chairman of the Taichung Famous Numerology Education Association, pointed out that the best zodiac signs for financial luck on June 23 are tigers, rabbits, sheep, and pigs, and share 3 ways to win the lottery. First, take the place of residence on the day as the center, and buy it from the lottery stores in the south and southeast. The second is to wear white, gold, silver, blue, and other lucky color clothing. The third is to move the nose and earlobes often to stimulate wealth and blessings and improve the chances of winning. News highlights: bananas are highly nutritious, but they are often mistaken for high glycemic foods because of their high sweetness. Physician Liu Boren pointed out that the glycemic index of bananas varies with different ripeness. Green bananas contain more resistant starch and lower glycemic rise, which is suitable for diabetics and weight loss. Ripe yellow bananas had a high sugar content and a medium glycemic index. Bananas with black spots contain the most sugar, and those with sensitive blood sugar should pay attention to the portion size. It is recommended that healthy people and diabetics consume bananas after meals with protein or fatty foods, and avoid eating ripe bananas on an empty stomach to reduce the risk of rapid blood sugar rise. News highlights: Kaohsiung Light Rail True Love Wharf Station occurred at about 23 o'clock last night. 82-year-old man surnamed Guo was trapped in the elevator incident. The old man sat paralyzed in the 30-degree temperature for nearly 1 hour. The button failed and the customer service did not respond. The police arrived and notified the elevator company, waiting for about 50 minutes before successfully breaking the door and rescuing. The old man knew that his life was not in danger, thanked him for the rescue and said that he would rather take the stairs in the future. Gao Ji said that the cause of the failure is still under investigation, and will strengthen maintenance and review the emergency notification process to avoid similar incidents from happening again. News highlights: over the age of 40, metabolism slows down, constipation is common, and can lead to dry skin, acne, and other troubles. Recommend 14 kinds of constipation foods, including apples, higher in fiber when eaten with skin, pumpkin, spinach, yam, dragon fruit, broccoli, flax seed oil, kiwi fruit, black fungus, sweet potato, oats, chia seeds, natto, and figs. These foods are rich in dietary fiber and enzymes, which can help promote intestinal peristalsis, soften stools, improve smooth bowel movements, and achieve the dual effect of intestinal beauty. News highlights: this week's horoscope reminds us to pay attention to family and land issues. The Cancer Sun and Wood conjunction prompts the face of family problems. The Golden Sky conjunction brings economic volatility in the stock market. Mercury enters Leo on Friday to stimulate expressiveness, and the entertainment industry and children become the focus. Suggestions for each zodiac sign: the peony believes in intuition and adjusts the pace, the crab seizes the opportunity, the shooter accumulates contacts, and the water bottle handles the chores. Taurus meets nobles need to set boundaries, virgins accept new things, Scorpios wait patiently, and Capricorn attaches importance to the interaction of elders. The twin careers are steady, the lion jumps out of the comfort zone, the Libra career is smooth, and Pisces rationally evaluates feelings. News highlights: for the first time in 30 years, Taiwan Railway has raised fares across the board, with an average increase of 26.8%. The fare from Taipei to Xinzuying was adjusted to 975 yuan, Taipei to Taitung increased by 153 yuan, the fare of the shuttle bus Bangqiao increased from 15 yuan to 22 yuan, and the luggage and parcel fee increased by about 36%. On June 26, a major change of train points will be implemented and the refund policy for delays will be adjusted, and tickets can be refunded without handling fees within 1 year if they are delayed for more than 10 minutes. Some of the discounts have shrunk. The free mileage of the Easy Card Zhejiang has been reduced to 50 kilometers, and the children's ticket has been cancelled for half a ticket plus a love ticket. Transportation scholars point out that the price increase is large, and the burden of government subsidies may increase. News highlights: more than 90 earthquakes continued in the Togura Islands off the coast of Kagoshima, Japan, from the early morning of the 21st to the 22nd, and 10 earthquakes reached 3 or higher, causing a high level of alert. Earthquake expert Guo Kaiwen pointed out that the area belongs to the Okinawa Trough and the Ryukyu Trench tectonic belt, although the water in the 2 trenches is deep, and if a tsunami wave is fast, it is less threatening to Hualien, while Yulan is more threatened because of the shallow water, although the probability is not large. He reminded that the Ryukyu Trench is prone to major earthquakes and is connected to the Nankai Trough, so it is necessary to keep an eye on seismic activity. News highlights: a serious car accident occurred in Da'an District, Taipei City on the afternoon of the 21st, and the 77-year-old crane driver surnamed Lai was suspected of being unwell, and when he turned right, he hit 3 motorcyclists who were waiting for a red light, causing the 18-year-old female rider surnamed Cai to be killed on the spot and the other 2 injured. Cai Nu is a nursing school intern, but when she went out to buy things, she encountered misfortune. Her mother found that her suspected daughter's body tissue was stuck in the bag when she was sorting out the relics, and she sadly appealed to netizens to provide pictures of the incident, hoping to clarify the truth and justice. Lai Nan said that he felt dizzy that day and did not notice the collision. The accident has aroused social concern and mourning. News highlights: the United States officially entered the war in Iraq, and on the 22nd, it bombed 3 underground nuclear facilities in Iran with Operation Midnight Hammer, using GBU-57 giant ground-penetrating bombs and B-2 stealth bombers, known as bunker busters, causing obvious damage to the facilities. Satellite photographs show bomb craters and terrain changes around the Fordow nuclear facility, but no major damage is seen to the main structure. The U.S. military simultaneously launched cruise missiles to coordinate the attack. Trump claimed to have completely destroyed the target, but Israeli officials said the facility had not been completely destroyed, indicating a limited extent of damage. News highlights: Zhang Rongfeng, former Secretary General of Daewon City, died of illness yesterday, 22nd, after more than 40 years of public service. He resigned in May last year due to health reasons. Mayor Teo Shanqing mourned on Facebook late at night, saying that Zhang Rongfeng is a typical engineer who always takes the initiative to take on challenges and promotes many important projects with perseverance, such as the World Hakka Expo and the Aerotropolis project, whether it is MRT, public construction, or urban development. Zhang Shansheng said emotionally that Secretary General Zhang's professionalism and dedication have been deeply rooted in the hearts of the municipal government team, and on behalf of the municipal government, he expressed his condolences to the family and thanked him for his dedication to Daewon. News highlights: the conflict between Israel and Iran is heating up, and U.S. President Trump confirmed on the 21st that the U.S. military launched Operation Midnight Hammer against 3 Iranian nuclear facilities, using the largest B-2 stealth bomber in history and a giant ground-penetrating bomb to successfully carry out air strikes, which has attracted global attention. Huang Vihan, a veteran media person, analyzed that if the United States does not quickly resolve the Iran issue, the CCP may take the opportunity to attack Taiwan, emphasizing that the situation in the Middle East is closely related to the security of the Taiwan Strait. The U.S. military's move is not only aimed at the Iranian nuclear threat, but also seen as a strategic action to restrain the CCP. News highlights: the 33rd phase of the Turtle and Turtle of the Power Kalian has a jackpot of 1.55 billion yuan tonight, attracting a large number of people to bet. Numerologist Yang Dengsheng named the tiger, rabbit, sheep, and pig as the 4 zodiac signs with the most prosperous fortune, and it is recommended to wear white, gold, silver, and other lucky colors to buy color, which can improve the probability of winning. He also recommended that the location of the lottery should be due south and southeast of the god of wealth. Yang also shared the secret of physiognomy, suggesting that moving the nose and pulling the ears often will help attract wealth and blessings. News highlights: an 82-year-old man had edema of his right foot for 2 months, thinking it was due to poor blood circulation, but after examination, he was diagnosed with rare double cancers, small lymphocytic lymphoma and Kaposi's sarcoma. Dr. Luo Jiaozhong, a cardiologist at Qi Hospital, reminded people that if they have unilateral edema, an unknown mass or abnormal weight changes, they should seek medical attention as soon as possible for early detection and treatment. News highlights: Israel's airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities on the 13th resulted in the deaths of a number of high-ranking officers and scientists, triggering Iran's retaliation. On the 21st, the United States dispatched B-2 stealth bombers to bomb 3 Iranian nuclear facilities with Operation Midnight Hammer, which immediately triggered Iran to launch dozens of missiles against Israel. Israel Beauty Point, a Taiwanese living in Israel, shared that life is as usual in the local area, and described that the government will issue an alert 10 to 15 minutes in advance when a missile strikes, and residents will quickly evacuate to air raid shelters, and all ethnic groups will use evacuation facilities together, showing special community cohesion. News highlights: Fumao Oil, 1,225, resumed trading on the 23rd, and the stock price rose by 32.6 yuan at the opening. The major shareholder, Longming Company, expressed concern about the company's first quarter financial report and the opposition of independent director Lian Renlong. Longming pointed out that Fumao Oil's cash fell by nearly 30% in just 3 months, and although the pre-tax net profit increased slightly, the operating cash flow declined significantly. Independent director Lin Yanlong opposed the company's use of mortgage operating equipment to finance financial institutions, and was concerned that the company's operation would be affected if it could not be repaid. Both parties hope that the management team will pay attention to their opinions and protect the rights and interests of shareholders. News highlights: Cai Mingzhong, chairman of Fubon Group, started as a student of the Department of Business Administration of Tunghai University, experienced the failure of high-speed rail and the storm of lottery tickets, and adhered to the corporate philosophy of his father Cai Wangke, who was people-oriented and did not hurt people for money, successfully acquired anti-life insurance and grabbed the A11 Land King of Xinyi planning area, and stabilized the territory of Fubon Life Insurance and real estate. He emphasized that opportunities are reserved for those who are ready, and integrated the servant leadership spirit of Tunghai University into management, showing humility and care, and becoming the richest man in Taiwan and a model of excellent leaders. News highlights: tensions in the Middle East have heated up sharply since the US bombed Iran's 3 nuclear facilities, and investors are worried about whether Iran will block the Strait of Hormuz, a strategic point that connects the Persian Gulf with the Arabian Sea. The strait, which carries about 20% of the world's crude oil and a large amount of liquefied natural gas every day, will push oil prices above $100 and cause global economic turmoil. Iran has decided to close the strait, but the actual blockade will require military means and face strong countermeasures from the United States and its allies. The Strait of Hormuz is also crucial to China's oil supply, and the blockade will affect Sino-Iranian relations and global energy markets. News highlights: in the first quarter of this year, the proportion of housing loans for young people under the age of 35 in Taiwan reached 33.2%, and in Tainan and Kaohsiung in southern Taiwan, it even exceeded 36%, becoming the most active group of house buyers. The new Ching'an policy increases the loan-to-value ratio and tenor, and provides interest subsidies to improve the housing environment for young people, especially in the central and southern regions. The proportion of young people buying homes in Taipei will increase from 17.3% in 2020 to 23.8% in 2025. However, as loan applications are being reviewed more stringently, experts advise young people to realistically evaluate their credit and finances and choose affordable housing. News highlights: Taiwan's first new drug for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, Xianxile, was administered at Far Eastern Memorial Hospital, targeting 83-year-old retired Chinese painting teacher Mai Zhonghua. This new drug is the first innovative treatment in 20 years to target the cause of the disease, which can reduce amyloid deposition in the brain and delay the progression of the disease. Far Eastern Memorial Hospital emphasized that new drugs bring breakthroughs in treatment, and hope to promote the society's understanding and support for dementia and caregivers. Although the cost of treatment is high and strict medical evaluation is required, it is of great significance to improve the quality of life of patients, and it is expected to be included in the health insurance system in the future. News highlights: Shinkong Financial Holding held the last shareholders meeting before the merger with Taishin Financial Holding on June 23, and on July 24, the two companies will officially merge into Taishin Shinkong Financial Holding, with assets exceeding 8 trillion yuan, becoming the fourth largest financial holding in Taiwan. In the past 2 years, under the leadership of Hong Shiki, the transfer of operating rights and the preparation for the merger have been completed, and the profit in 2024 is the second highest in history, and the capital structure has been significantly strengthened despite the paper loss in the first quarter of this year. After the merger, it will integrate the three engines of life insurance, banking, and securities to enhance market competitiveness and risk diversification, and meet future challenges with the goal of long-term operating value. News highlights: affected by the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, Taiwan stocks fluctuated sharply in early trading on the 23rd, falling nearly 500 points to 21,551.58 points, losing 22,000 points in monthly support. TSMC fell more than 3% intraday, and its market value evaporated by more than 1 trillion yuan, but the decline gradually converged to 1,020 yuan. Electronics stocks were generally down, while financials and small and mid-cap stocks were also under pressure. The market is concerned about the situation in the Middle East, the attitude of the United States to cut interest rates and changes in international trade, and the overall investment sentiment is cautious. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump suddenly ordered airstrikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Satellite photos showed at least 6 large craters at the Fordo fuel enrichment plant, and the Isfahan and Natanz nuclear facilities were almost leveled. The U.S. military said the airstrikes had caused serious damage, while Iran claimed that the nuclear materials had been moved to safety and that the damage was limited. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and experts have reservations about the extent of the damage. Trump even hinted that the overthrow of the Iranian regime would not be ruled out, which attracted international attention and made the situation in the Middle East more tense and unstable. News highlights: the Tainan Municipal Education Bureau held a mayor's award ceremony at Tsuchi High School on the 22nd, and Mayor Huang Weijia enthusiastically cooperated with the students to pose creatively to take pictures. Wang shared the video humorously in the community, laughing that he was sweating more and inviting the public to share the photos on social media platforms. The atmosphere of the event was relaxed and lively, and netizens praised the mayor for his high cooperation and laughter. News highlights: in order to celebrate the Chinese team's victory in the 2024 World Top 12 Baseball Championship, the central bank launched a limited edition of 36,000 pieces of 2024 Top 12 Champion commemorative silver coins with a unit price of 1,600 yuan. The obverse of the commemorative coin depicts a player holding up a trophy in celebration of victory, and the reverse depicts the heroic performance of baseball, containing one half of a silver tail and a fineness of 999. Pre-orders will be open from June 23 to July 2, online and over-the-counter registration, with a limit of 1 per person, and if the quota is exceeded, it will be drawn on July 3 and can be collected at designated bank branches in November. News highlights: President Li Qiang presided over the swearing-in ceremony of the new government officials and ambassadors abroad today, 23rd, and Lin Changzuo served as the ambassador to Finland and took the oath. The ceremony was simple and grand, and Vice President Xiao Maikan, Executive Premier Zhou Rongta and others attended the ceremony. The swearing-in personnel include the new ambassadors to Switzerland, South Korea, India, the Czech Republic, Thailand, St. Kitts and Nevis and a number of political officials. News Highlights talk show hosts He Long and Albi, Lu Jingying, were recently witnessed by the public holding hands and interacting ambiguously in Osaka, suspected of being in love, which attracted attention. The two did not respond positively, but they both disclosed their ideal type. He Long likes humorous, virtuous and well-shaped girls, while Albi prefers free, beautiful and emotionally stable objects, and the two get along well and match each other's conditions, so the love rumors add more imagination. News Highlights South Korean DJ Soda surprised fans by accepting the salon's suggestion to try blonde hairstyle, but unexpectedly, the improper bleaching process led to a severe scalp injury, large pieces of hair, and finally a partial bald head. She was heartbroken and said that it was not 100% voluntary, and that it was the salon that proposed a change of look. In the face of netizens' accusations of self-inflicted, she reluctantly responded to emphasize that hair bleaching has caused great physical and mental pressure, and she is currently unable to undergo hair enhancement surgery, and it is estimated that it will take more than 2 years to recover. News Highlights This week's Tang Qi-Yang horoscope points out that the Sun and Wood are conjunct the Cancer, and the issues of family and land have emerged, which need to be dealt with positively. Jin Tianhe may cause financial and emotional emergencies. Mercury enters the Lion on Friday, setting off a boom in performance and talent. The peony should listen to intuition, and feelings need to deal with disputes. Cancers are lucky but don't be pessimistic, there are many emotional opportunities. The Lion starts a new game and is expected to meet new people. Pisces is popular, and feelings should be evaluated rationally. Each zodiac sign should adapt to the astrological signs and adjust the pace to meet the changes. News Highlights Zhongtian Comprehensive Channel's Classmates Are Coming invited Lin Yanjun and Ha Xiaoyuan to share their friendship story, and the two became friends because of hosting the show. Lin Yanjun admitted that he had thought about whether it was suitable for dating, but he thought that he was more comfortable being friends. The two often eat together, which sparked on-site discussions, and Ha Xiaoyuan also laughed and said that it was indeed for saliva at first, but now it is purely for not wasting food. The show also talked about whether the partner is jealous, and the scene is warm and a little ambiguous, which is funny. News Highlights Lottie Girls Vice Captain Youngzi was bitten on the face, splashed blood and eyeballs by a dog yesterday, 22nd, and the emergency leave aroused the concern of fans. Unexpectedly, some netizens sent a private message, "Are you really injured?" Caused her to be dissatisfied and counterattacked, but after learning that the other party misunderstood the photo as imitation makeup, the two sides reconciled. The netizen has apologized, and Yoon Xi also resolved the misunderstanding with a humorous attitude, laughing that he asked the other party to buy tickets for the Xiangxiang district to watch the game before forgiveness. News Highlights A major traffic accident occurred in Zaitun district, Taichung City last night. A 46-year-old man surnamed Lin, who was wanted for drugs, refused to check and fled, drove a BMW on a rampage in the city, causing damage to 45 cars, including locomotives, and then abandoned the car and escaped. 5 hours later, the police arrested him at Yunlingkao Lake and transferred him for investigation on charges of public danger and obstruction of official duties. The police stressed that they will strictly enforce the law and will not tolerate any challenge to public power. News Highlights Cao Yan, the Queen of Golden Songs, held a farewell ceremony for her deceased father on the 22nd, and emotionally reviewed her father's 3-year anti-cancer journey. She confessed that because she felt sorry for her father, she did not inform her of her illness in person, and personally signed the consent form to give up first aid, which made her feel deeply guilty and sad. Cao Yan recalled that her father listened to her singing with her mother at the concert, regarded her father as the first fan in her life, and thanked him for his support. She promised to take good care of her mother and hoped that her father would still be proud in another world. News Highlights On June 21st, a crane ran over and killed a female rider in Taipei City, and an 18-year-old woman surnamed Cai was hit by a 77-year-old man surnamed Lai driving a crane and died tragically on the spot. Cai News' identity was recently exposed, and she is actually the successor of a well-known family hospital in the north, and is now studying in her senior year at the Notre Dame Nursing School and is interning in Taipei. Suspected of being unwell, Lai was arrested after trying to reverse and escape after knocking down multiple motorcycles. The tragedy also cast a shadow over the hospital's succession plan. News Highlights The conflict between Israel and Iran heated up, and foreign media reported that the Israeli intelligence agency Mossad launched Operation Narnia, which simultaneously sniped 9 of Iran's top 10 nuclear scientists overnight, and the 10th person was killed later, shocking the world. The operation targeted key personnel in Iran's military nuclear program, demonstrating Israel's high penetration and strike accuracy. While the move weakens Iran's nuclear research and development capabilities, it has also sparked regional tensions that threaten to accelerate Iran's nuclear development and withdraw from international regulation, while the European Union has called for restraint on both sides. News Highlights Taiwan's dementia population exceeded 350,000, of which about 7 became Alzheimer's patients. Far Eastern Memorial Hospital took the lead in the country today, 23, and successfully administered a new drug to an 83-year-old woman with early Alzheimer's disease. Physicians pointed out that the drug can delay degeneration and maintain daily functioning, but it does not reverse memory, and it is not suitable for all patients, and it is estimated that about 130,000 people are eligible. The annual cost of treatment is 100 to 1.5 million yuan, and the threshold is high. The patient's family is looking forward to the new drug to keep the mother alive, and the medical community emphasizes that long-term care and follow-up should be combined to achieve effective results. News highlights: the Central Election Committee has decided to hold the first wave of general recall votes on July 26, and 24 legislators of the Kuomintang and Hsinchu Mayor Gao Honggan are facing recall pressure. The legislators of the Blue Camp actively promoted a number of livelihood bills, including the universal cash distribution of $10,000 and the Prevention of Child Abuse Bill, and worked hard to complete the third reading before the polling day. In this regard, the Democratic Progressive Party criticized the Blue Camp for hyping up the issue to avoid the recall, pointing out that Putin's discovery of Kim was afraid of sacrificing the national security budget. Luo's Haikyong of the Kuomintang revealed that the poll in Da'an district showed that the support rate of the anti-recall was only slightly higher than the support rate, and the election situation was tight and the situation was dangerous. News highlights: a New Zealand study published in BMJ Open Sport and Exercise Medicine found that sedentary people who performed light muscle strength exercises, such as chair squats, calf raises, knee raises, knee and leg extensions, every 30 minutes at night not only did not affect sleep, but helped them fall asleep faster, with an average of 27 minutes more sleep. Studies have shown that low-intensity exercise before bed does not raise body temperature or heart rate, but rather relaxes the body and mind. Experts recommend avoiding high-intensity exercise within 1 hour of bedtime so as not to affect the quality of sleep. News highlights: the thyroid nodules found that there is no need to panic excessively, and about 9 of them become benign, and the incidence rate is higher in women. Although most of them are asymptomatic, they may still affect hormone secretion. Dietitians recommend avoiding high sugar, fried and processed foods, and soy products. Iodine-containing foods such as kelp and kelp can be safely consumed when the thyroid function is normal. Cruciferous vegetables are also fine when cooked. Supplementation with selenium, e.g. Brazil nuts, vitamins, and omega-3s can help maintain thyroid health. Adequate sleep, stress reduction, and moderate exercise are the keys to stabilizing nodules. News highlights: on the afternoon of the 21st, a crane and 3 locomotives had an accident near the Zhongxiao Xinshen station of the Taipei MRT, resulting in an 18-year-old female rider being run over and killed and 1 person injured. The 77-year-old crane driver surnamed Lai was suspected of negligent death and escaped, and later paid bail of 150,000 yuan, which caused dissatisfaction among the deceased's mother, criticized the other party for not apologizing so far, and called on the public to provide on-site footage to help clarify the case. The female knight was originally a nursing school intern, but unfortunately died after a short outing, which made her family grief. News highlights: Taiwan's emerging market is often referred to as freezers, and some start UPS have not managed well after listing, resulting in shareholder shareholding becoming wallpaper, which has attracted attention. Jian Lizhong, chairman of the Cabinet Buying Center, said that if the company's operation is weakened, it will be required to disclose information and even hold a press conference to explain, and the cabinet will continue to counsel and supervise. He pointed out that the cabinet board is mainly raised by professional investment institutions, and the cabinet is a pre-listing market for enterprises, and the transaction heat depends on the company's physique. News highlights: 56-year-old actress Wu Jianlian has rarely been exposed since she faded out of the showbiz in 2007, and recently netizens shared photos of her appearance without makeup, with white hair tied with braids and a simple t-shirt. Her temperament is still elegant, and she is praised as a Hong Kong-style beauty who amazes the time. Dietitians point out that gray hair and hair loss are often caused by malnutrition, and it is recommended to consume enough protein, zinc, iron, vitamin B complex, C, E, and other nutrients to maintain healthy hair. News highlights: the profile picture of Zhang Zhiyikan, the chief prosecutor of the Taichung District Prosecutor's Office, was stolen by a fraud group to trick a 51-year-old retired man surnamed Lin in the north into mistakenly believing that his personal information was involved in the case, and was finally defrauded of all his ancestral assets such as deposits, stocks, and real estate, with a loss of about 30 million yuan. The fraud group pretended to be a telecommunications company and a police unit, gradually controlling Lin Nan's whereabouts and pressuring for asset notarization. After squeezing out the assets, the fraud group instructed them to report the case on their own. The police pointed out that 66% of the victims of similar cases were from ethnic groups over 50 years old, and called on the public to be vigilant not to trust anonymous phone calls, and to take the initiative to care for the elders in the family to prevent being deceived. News highlights: 58-year-old singer Zhang Yu celebrated his wife's birthday on the 21st, and emotionally posted that the couple had been infected with the new crown and flu this year, and his wife began to explain the details of her life because of her cough, and even worried about how her husband and children would live if they left first. Zhang Yu felt his wife's reluctance and love, and promised that if there was a real day, he would live well and not let her worry. The post was affectionate and humorous, touching a large number of netizens, praising the two as true soulmates, and wishing them a safe and healthy old age. News highlights: according to the latest research, letting your child drink fruit juice may impair brain development, leading to anxiety, decreased learning and poor resilience. Zhang Jiaming, a genetic physician, explained that when eating fruits directly, fructose is released slowly and fiber helps stabilize blood sugar, and the brain is healthier. However, when drinking fruit juice, fructose rushes into the bloodstream, which can interfere with the function of the brain's clean cells and affect the organization of neural links. Pregnant women who drink fruit juice have a similar risk. It is recommended that children and pregnant women avoid drinking fruit juices, and it is best to eat fruits directly, so that the nutrients can be slowly absorbed through chewing to protect brain health. News highlights: as China's emerging full-time profession of good grandchildren struggles with young people finding jobs, many graduates choose to return home to take care of their elderly grandparents. The 26-year-old woman shared that because she couldn't find a job she liked, she chose to take care of her grandfather as a full-time grandchild, and her life for both parties improved. These young people take care of the elderly on a daily basis, provide emotional support, and gain more understanding and respect than stay-at-home children who accompany their parents. The unemployment rate of young people aged 16 to 24 in China is as high as 15.8%, reflecting serious employment pressure, but netizens also questioned the economic threshold of this job.